What exactly do we know here?
Well, right now we don't know too much. We know that there was a big, like you said, a big cut in the outlook, and some analysts have speculated that this could mean a 30% cut in orders from the point of view of Apple. Now, this builds on a lot of other concerns that we've been seeing about what iPhone demand is going to look like from here. Last week, we had a report out from Nikkei talking about a canceled production boost for the XR line of the iPhone. And before that, we had Apple's fourth quarter results where it said it was going to stop releasing the number of units that it sells each quarter, which some analysts interpreted as a sign that maybe unit sales weren't going to be that strong going forward.
So, David, this doesn't mean that iPhone demand is going to be bad. It just means it's less than perhaps Apple expected and what Apple told its suppliers to prepare for. You know, how serious is this for one of the most transformative and important technology products in the world?
I don't see it as that significant. I think, they have raised their prices so they could sell less units and still make more money. And in fact, we've got to remember the iPhone and Apple are the most catalytic company in technology, consumer technology. They are not going away. I think they've actually been unduly hurt in this recent downturn in tech stocks compared to their potential vis-a-vis some of the others.
Ryan, what do we know about Lumentum? They make components for Face ID, which, is now in 3-4 iPhones. So we're talking about a range of phones, not just the XR, which is what the Nikkei had reported. There was some production issues there. What exactly does Lumentum do?
Well, like you said, they're heavily involved in the technology used in the Face ID. Now, a lot of other types of phones also use similar technology, and some analysts have speculated that they could maybe get a boost from Android phones. But for the moment, they are so heavily tied to Apple. I think they get about 40% of their revenue from Apple last year, that if there's weakness here, it's going to be very important for them. It's going to be, like you're seeing today, the stock is down about 30%. It's its worst single-day drop ever. Clearly, this is something that investors are very concerned about.
Now, David, you covered Apple for many years, and you know that any sign of any information about production of the iPhone gets dissected because, we don't hear from Apple until the end of the quarter. Now we won't be getting numbers, specific unit numbers from Apple about the iPhone at all. It makes sense if you think about the company shifting towards a services company. But can Apple live up to its trillion-dollar market value as a services company?
That's a really big question, but I do think the market seems to be overreacting to this little bit of hyper-magnified news, given the general situation that Apple still has in the consumer technology economy. I don't think it's nearly as worrisome as it's being interpreted.
Why not?
Because I think Apple has a number of other products and a number of other things happening. I do think their services business has a lot of potential. Look at the AirPods. That's a $179 thing that now everybody on the New York subway has, and it's got to have gigantic margins, even if they won't tell us what the margins are.
Right, they won't tell us, which is part of the problem.
But still, and the Apple Watch with the EKG in it, these things are significant. These are transformative. Apple is still at the front of consumer devices globally. That will continue to pay off. In the macro, the stock, day in and day out, that's not my expertise, but I absolutely feel in my gut this is an overreaction.
Now, Ryan, overall, we've seen FANG stocks take a beating over the last couple of weeks. Do we see any sign of that changing now that we're through the midterms?
Well, these stocks weren't the ones that are going to be too impacted by the midterms. I mean, you will see Facebook and maybe Alphabet if there's a move towards privacy and data regulation, that kind of thing. I do think you will see some analysts come in and try to maybe see if they can find some bargains. I've certainly talked to some semiconductor analysts who are looking for opportunities here and think they see some really good values following the big drop that was seen over October and going on into November. But again, the fact that there is slowing iPhone demand is Apple is such a big player in the entire tech ecosystem that this is going to be felt broadly.
So, David, here at Techonomy, you're talking about the future of technology. The iPhone is a huge part of tech's transformation because it enables that transformation. How does this fit into some of the themes that you're talking about this year?
Well, the iPhone is the catalytic device that changed computing, changed consumer experience of technology, because going mobile, which really the iPhone inaugurated, has changed everything. So what we talk about here at Techonomy is the many ways that society is being transformed and the opportunities that creates for business. They're gigantic. But we're also talking a lot about the need for a new attitude of responsibility and conscious capitalism from the technology companies, because they really are not having the kind of reputation they used to have. John Chambers said this morning that in his travels in Middle America, Silicon Valley is viewed negatively today. That's very serious. So we're talking a lot about what can technology continue to do to change the world and also improve its image.
You know, Apple's been doing things to combat addiction. Facebook, Google, Amazon, they are all part of this sort of new tech-hating era. You know, do you think that this is a prolonged state of being for tech? You know, do you think that the anti-tech fervor continues for the foreseeable future?
I think the anti-giant tech fervor is going to continue. I've played part of it with Facebook, which I'm very critical of. But in general, technology is going to be doing great. Its reputation will improve over time as innovation helps.
So how does tech help us get towards a more sustainable future?
Well, tech is going to help us get toward a more sustainable future. There's ideas galore at this conference.